It does not begin with pain or illness, and most people never notice when it starts. A brief encounter is enough, and seconds later life continues without concern. There is no warning from the body, and no immediate reaction. This infection does not spread through air or casual contact. It requires a living carrier and direct access to blood to survive. Once inside the body, the organism does not remain at the entry point. It moves quickly, using the bloodstream only as a temporary passage. Remaining in open blood is dangerous because immune defenses are strongest there. Detection at this stage would end the infection. To survive, the organism leaves circulation almost immediately. It travels deeper into the body toward a more permissive environment. That destination is an organ designed to filter what enters the blood. This organ balances tolerance with defense rather than aggressive attack. Inside this environment, immune reactions are slower and more controlled. The organism enters cells without triggering alarms. There is no inflammation and no early damage. At this stage, the infected person feels completely normal. There is no fever, fatigue, or discomfort. Routine medical tests often appear normal. From the outside, the infection does not exist. Inside cells, a different process is underway. The organism begins to multiply quietly. Replication continues without resistance. The cell slowly fills as numbers increase. One organism becomes many inside a single cell. This process can continue for days or longer. No signals are sent to alert the immune system. The body remains unaware of what is happening. Eventually, the infected cell can no longer contain what is inside. When the cell ruptures, many new organisms are released. They enter the bloodstream together. This moment marks the end of the silent phase. The immune system is forced to react suddenly. Symptoms will soon appear, but the infection is already established. In the next part, we will follow what happens once the blood becomes the main battleground. Once the infection reaches the bloodstream, everything changes. What was silent and hidden now becomes active and aggressive. The organisms no longer avoid detection. They begin invading red blood cells directly. Red blood cells are an ideal target. They are everywhere. They carry nutrients, and they cannot defend themselves. Inside these cells, the organisms feed and grow. As they multiply, each red blood cell becomes weaker and more unstable. Eventually, the cell ruptures. When this happens, large numbers of new organisms are released into the bloodstream at the same time. This release is not random. It happens in waves. Each wave triggers a powerful immune response, and this timing explains why symptoms appear suddenly rather than gradually. High fever, intense chills, sweating, deep exhaustion. These symptoms feel abrupt, but the infection itself is not new. By the time the body reacts, the organisms have already multiplied many times over. At this stage, doctors are finally able to identify what is happening. This disease is malaria. Malaria depends on blood cells to survive and spread. It is not dangerous because it strikes quickly. It is dangerous because it grows quietly before revealing itself. Not all cases of malaria behave the same way. Some progress slowly and respond well to treatment. Others escalate rapidly. In more aggressive cases, infected red blood cells begin to behave abnormally. They lose flexibility. They become rigid and sticky. These altered cells can clog small blood vessels, especially in areas where circulation is already limited. As blood flow slows, oxygen delivery drops. Organs placed under oxygen stress begin to suffer. The brain is especially vulnerable. When blood flow to the brain is disrupted, confusion can develop. Seizures may occur. In severe cases, loss of consciousness follows. This is how malaria moves from fever to medical emergency. While the body struggles to regain control, some of the organisms stop multiplying altogether. Instead, they change into forms designed to continue the cycle. These forms circulate quietly in the blood, waiting for another carrier. If that carrier appears, the infection moves on. If it does not, the cycle ends here. Survival depends on timing, access to care, and how aggressively the infection progresses. This is why outcomes vary so widely from one person to another. In the next and final part, we will look at how malaria is treated, why resistance remains a challenge, and how this ancient disease continues to persist despite modern medicine.